Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYNT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Connor James. We begin tonight in Laurel County. That's where one man is behind bars charged with alcohol intoxication and endangering the welfare of a minor. This is Bradley Askvig. An arrest citation says Askvig passed out behind the wheel in the South Laurel Middle School parking lot. His 4-year-old son was roaming that same parking lot unattended. Police say when they found Askvig, he was under the influence of alcohol. Today, I talked with Askvig about what happened, and as he still sits in the Laurel County Detention Center. Bradley Askvig has a different story than what his arrest citation reads.
So usually I come home, I deal with them, and stay tired all the time. I run on no sleep.
The 31-year-old says he came home after working a 12-hour shift and was taking a minor to her dance at South Laurel Middle School Friday night. In the car with him, his 4-year-old son.
And I just sit there and fell asleep on him.
Askvig says he fell asleep in the parking lot. That's when his son somehow got out of the car and began roaming the lot.
You know, I knew I was tired. I said, hey, I'm just going to sit here until this dance is over and just relax here, rest up, and then by the time this dance is over, I'm okay. I'm just going home.
Someone found the boy and the police were called. His arrest citation has a much different account of the night. It reads that police found him with, quote, slurred speech and glossy eyes. It goes on to say there was a, quote, strong odor of an alcoholic beverage coming from Askvig.
The arresting officer said they smelled alcohol. What's your response to that?
It was probably just some spilt in my vehicle somewhere because I have drank before and I've had alcohol spill in my vehicle from other people that were drinking.
There is no indication a breathalyzer was given. Social services were called. Now, Askvig's bond is set at $2,500. We do not know when he will be in court. Well, we now know the name of the man killed in a crash on the Hal Rogers Parkway this morning. The Perry County coroner identified the man as 55-year-old Delbert Whitehead. He was an employee for the city of Hyden for 31 years. Now, this happened around 9 this morning near the Perry-Leslie County line when police say a car crossed the center line and hit a box truck. 2 people were in the car at the time. They were rushed to the hospital. Police say Whitehead later died. The other person suffered serious injuries. Now, we talked to one man who approached the crash just minutes after it happened.
People standing there looking like you could tell it was bad. I mean, you can usually tell by the people and what they're doing, and if they're hustling around, they're trying to help somebody, but if they're standing there, it's usually bad.
Now, officials say the driver of the box truck was not injured. The Hal Rogers Parkway was shut down for nearly 2 hours at the time, but has since reopened, and you can now drive on it. Well, Whitley County Schools mourned the death of one of their juniors this morning. 16-year-old Fisher Barton died over the weekend, and friends and teachers at the school decorated themselves and the school with blue and yellow ribbons, the colors of the FFA club. Fisher's teacher said they are determined to keep his legacy and drive for the program going.
Our FFA t-shirt this year, the quote the officers chose was, "I will never put my name on something that does not have the best of me in it." And he embodied that. He gave his all no matter what it was.
Fisher's funeral visitation is tomorrow evening at Cox & Sons Funeral Home in Jellicoe, Tennessee, and his funeral will be Wednesday afternoon at 2. Well, a recent report suggests water is unaffordable for 46% of people in Barton County. Folks there have the 8th highest average water bill in the state. One couple says their water bill was more than $300 after just 2 months of usage. Ruth Kirk says her household is on a fixed income, and the added expenses, they're hard to handle.
It's terrible to have to pay such high rates when you can't basically use it, and water is a necessity.
Martin County District Commissioners claim the district could receive a $10,000 rate increase. If they were to receive this rate increase, the county would have the highest average water bill in the state. Well, a hearing today in Louisville aimed to take Republican Attorney General candidate Daniel Cameron off the ballot. A man named Joseph Jackson filed a complaint saying Cameron doesn't meet the qualifications to run. Cameron made it clear today that he believes this is nothing but a political ploy. The lawyer for Jackson argued Cameron has not been practicing law for 8 years, which is a requirement to run for Attorney General. Cameron says in a past case similar to this one, the court ruled that a candidate only needed to have a law license for 8 years, which would mean he's qualified.
They obviously made this as a political calculation because they recognize how desperate they are. They're behind in the polling, they're behind in fundraising, and know that this is the only way to stop us from winning.
With the gaps in his employment, with the judicial clerkship that he had, he simply does not have the 8 years required.
Cameron says if the court rules against him, he will appeal and bring it to the Kentucky Supreme Court. Senator Rand Paul was in Frankfort today as part of the Conference for the Federalist Society. Rand Paul spoke with the Kentucky chapter. Paul was speaking to a room full of lawyers about the law, something he says a doctor doesn't often get to do. He took questions and took time to talk about the governor's race here in Kentucky, backing incumbent Matt Bevin.
And I think a lot of teachers realize this, but historically, Democrat governors were taking the teachers' pension money, spending it in the general fund, and poof, it was gone. I think the governor deserves great credit for actually fully funding the teachers' pension.
Kentucky's general election is scheduled for Tuesday, November 5th. Well, as rain continues to fall across the region, fire officials are warning people that it is not the end of forest fire season. Mitch Case with the Pikeville Fire Department says the department is excited to see rain since it has helped with a handful of forest and brush fires while the weather remained dry. But he hopes people will remain cautious and remember that a little rain does not mean the fall forest fire season is over. He says sticking to the state's burn ban is crucial to keeping everyone safe because fires spread quickly, even with a little rain.
It can travel from one area or one mountain to the other. And not only is it affecting homeowners, but the wildlife that do consider that home.
Some counties are now lifting their full burn bans, but Kentucky's fall forest fire season remains in effect until December 15th. Until that date, burning between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. is illegal.
And most of that rain has now moved out of our area. We are still dealing with those mostly cloudy skies as we head into those overnight hours. You can see that here as we look along Interstate 64 into Moorhead. You see the sun starting to set behind those mostly cloudy skies and those grounds starting to dry out as well. You can see it here on satellite and radar. Most of the rain moving out, especially the bulk of the showers, have definitely moved out of our area. Scanning the skies now, we could be hanging on to a few stray rain chances, but most of us are drying out as we head into the rest of those overnight hours. We really have remained into about the low to mid 50s for the past several hours. It's because we are seeing those mostly cloudy skies, so we'll continue to stay a little bit on the warmer side before we start to see those temperatures drop a little bit later tonight. Most of us will be into about the upper 40s to lower 50s. We'll hang on to a few of those rain chances and really those mostly cloudy skies for much of the overnight hours. So we're going to hang on to some few rain chances tonight, a little bit into tomorrow as well. Looking at a pretty nice cool down as we head into tomorrow. More sunshine is on the way though as we head into the rest of the work week. I'll have those details coming up in just a little bit.
Glad it finally feels like fall. Thanks, Paige. Well, after decades of waiting, one Kentucky woman finally has justice. In 1981, when Sherry Wand was 18, she was raped. Last month, her attacker, Donald Berlin, was convicted, and now he's serving prison time. This is all part of Kentucky's effort and progress testing backlogged rape kits. In 2015, a 2015 audit revealed the state had more than 3,000 untested kits. Wand's case is the first conviction since Kentucky started looking into the backlog. New at 11, Miranda Combs explains how victims just like Wand are finally getting justice.
Depending on your perspective, you can find symbolism in anything. To some, this is just jagged pieces of wood and painful ends. To Sherry Wand,
it really is therapeutic.
In a way, this is her life. No matter the mess, she builds perfection.
It's just showing myself every day that I can create beauty.
She has every right to leave this wood just how she found it, with little hope for a fresh start.
I was number 7 of 8.
38 years ago, almost to the day, Sherry was alone in her Lexington apartment. Her fiance was on a business trip.
I was asleep on the couch and he broke in through the bathroom window and I heard something. And I called my fiance's name thinking that, you know, are you back? What happened?
It wasn't her fiance.
He had a hat on and he had a bandana on, so I never saw his face. And I was able to pull away and I ran to the door and he caught me when I grabbed the knob, and he hit me on the side of the face. And he said, "Don't fight, I will hurt you." And from that point on, I went into survival mode. It was just a matter of survival.
After the rape, she says the man smoked a cigarette, bragged about robbing a convenience store, and left.
So I got dressed and got in my car and went straight to Central Baptist Health now, and walked into the emergency room. And I told them I've been raped.
They performed a rape exam, and almost 4 decades went by.
Did you ever think there would be justice?
No, I didn't. I really didn't.
Until she got a call in August of 2017 from a Lexington police detective.
And he said, "Are you Sherry Wand?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "Were you at one time Sherry Dennis?" And I'm ad-libbing because I don't remember the exact words, sure. But I said, "Yes." He said, "Were you the same Sherry Dennis that filed a police report for an attack in September of 1981? And at that point, my guts dropped into the floor.
The masked man now had a name, Ronald Berlin. He had been in prison since 1982 for bank robbery and his last attempted rape. Sherry's case was the first conviction since Kentucky started looking into the rape kit backlog. He was sentenced 38 years and 1 day after the rape.
I guess some women would be angry that he wasn't found and that they didn't have their day in court sooner. But I do believe everything happens for a reason. And my thoughts on this is he would have gotten out in January of 2027 and he's not getting out now. He's not getting out.
Berlin was sentenced to 20 years for Sherry's assault to run after he finishes his time for the bank robbery. Now you see why building with scrap wood is more than that to Sherry.
This is a serving bar that I'm building.
It's focusing on the beauty she can make out of anything. In Lexington, Miranda Combs, WKYT.
Switching gears now, a local Johnson County veteran felt the love today as employees from Lennox and Big Sandy Heating and Cooling stopped by to donate a hookup and a new HVAC unit. This is part of the Lennox's Feel the Love campaign, where people nominate their friends or neighbors to receive a new heating and cooling system. This year's winner was Janie Roman, who served in the Navy years ago.
So Lennox is donating the equipment, and Big Sandy employees are donating their time, and we're donating the labor and materials to install this deserving lady a new system.
This was the first year Big Sandy Heating and Cooling was able to participate in the campaign, and they are excited to continue it for years to come. Well, local firefighters are looking for a way to honor the men and women who have sacrificed their lives in the line of duty, so they are burning up the dance floor. The Firefighters Ball kicks off tomorrow night at the Appalachian Wireless Arena. The ball, hosted by the Pikeville Fire Department, is a fundraiser to benefit Firefighters Memorial Fund. The planned memorial is the department's way of remembering fallen firefighters from Pike County.
This goes to all the firefighters that have paid the ultimate sacrifice and lost their lives protecting the citizens in their communities.
The memorial is expected to be built on Hambly Boulevard near the Veterans Memorial once the funds have been secured. Well, a sweet shop is testing its audience during the soft opening this week. Sugar Magnolias offers cold lunch and a bakery. It's located in downtown Prestonsburg between Wright's Barbershop and the Floyd County Library. Owner Alexis Reed says this is her dream, and she's happy to be able to contribute to the local economy.
Yeah, I definitely think that Prestonsburg is getting more activity and stuff, especially with like the farmers market and things like that.
The menu will continue to grow in the future. Reed hopes to open the shop completely within the next few weeks.